Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome back to Broker Agent News. Michael Creasy here, a.k.a. That Interview Guy. And today's hottest topic that most realtors are struggling with is how do you do online lead generation? Now, there's all kinds of companies out there that are promising all kinds of things, but a lot of them haven't got a clue when it comes to what the real estate professional needs. Well, with me today, I have Matt Jones, and Matt is two things. Number one, he's real estate agent extraordinaire, which means he has experience in the game. And number two, I don't want to call him a techno-weenie, but he's got that inside track of knowing what to do with the technology and how to make money with it. Matt, how are you today?
Hey, man, I'm fantastic.
Well, let's do a bit of a history lesson here, Matt. Why should anybody take what you have to say seriously?
That's a good question. Why should they take what I say? Well, I think it's important that, there are so many, as you mentioned, there are so many companies out there that are offering agent services that, how do I say it, that really have no real experience whatsoever in the actual real estate business. And so, in fact, most of the companies, doing the real estate websites and different, lead generation companies, most of those companies are run by people that don't have any real estate experience.
So let's take it from your perspective. You're cruising along, real estate agent, doing your deals and stuff like that. You start working with technology. Is this something that you created because you couldn't find the solution for yourself and thought, there's got to be a better way?
Well, actually, that's exactly what happened. I was a realtor. I really did not want to be in the web business, so to speak, and the technology business. I just wanted to sell houses. The truth is I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I felt like I either had to give up on it, and wait another decade for it to get here, or I had to build it. So, I set out to build technology that was about lead capture. The average realtors out here are still out here with the cyber business cards, and they wonder why they don't have any business coming off of their website.
So let's back up the bus here a bit, Matt. So what you're saying is, number one, more and more realtors are getting websites. That's a given. 5 years ago, they thought this was something. Some of them were praying that it was going to go away. But the experienced pros, the ones that are making money, have a good website that's generating leads. It's making the money. So it's more than just having your face out there somewhere, you out front of your car that could be 2 payments behind, giving away content.
Right. I came in real estate as a business. My real estate business is just that. It's a business. It's not a charity. We want to help people. We want to help them find houses. But the bottom line is that, we also want to get paid. And so, and my website is no exception. My website is about capturing customers. And so, anyways, we ultimately developed technology that did just that. There are plenty of good websites. We didn't want to be in the website game. Why reinvent the wheel? There are plenty of very good websites out there. We just essentially came up with a technology that was a standalone LCM, or lead capture module, that can be used in tandem with a customer's website. And, that's kind of where our whole national thing went.
So let's look at that for a sec. What are then the common mistakes that agents are making with their websites, I guess, that you must have been making yourself, that you had to change so you could make money from this thing?
Well, first, I'm no different than anyone. I've made every mistake imaginable on my website. Well, maybe there are some that I haven't made, but I've made most of them, I can assure you. But I was determined that I was going to generate business from the website. So, I continue to test and continue to test. Most of the agents out there have done the same thing that I've done, and that's that, well, they've been to technology seminars that have taught them that content is king. Well, the truth of the matter is content's not king. Let me tell you what I mean. You remember back in the 90s, we were having portal wars. And by that I mean you had Lycos and Excite and MSN and Yahoo. All of these search engine companies, they invented a word called portal, and they were basically all vying for market share. And there was this little bitty company that nobody had ever heard of. Their website was real boring and ugly looking. It just had a search bar on it, and they ran it out of a dorm room. Now everybody knows it because they just went public last year, a little company called Google. The simple fact is that they are excellent at what they do, but what they proved to everybody as they handed all the search engines their heads collectively, they proved that content was not king. What they proved was that simplicity, that the user experience being absolutely simple was what was king. And so, we focused around that. The biggest misinformation that agents are, and it's not their fault. They want to sell houses, list and sell houses. They're out there listening to the experts. Well, a lot of our experts don't know what they're talking about. They're telling them to get more and more content. Well, I can tell you from experience of having several thousand pages of content on my website that content is not king.
Well, is content basically, from a real estate perspective, I come to a website, it has everything about the schools, everything about the neighborhood, it has a wealth of information. And if I were to make an analogy, that's like having a store.
Right.
Matt, you're running a store, and I walk into your store and I'm picking stuff off the shelves. I'm putting it into my cart. And then I just wheel right by you without even saying hello or goodbye.
Right.
Isn't that basically what websites are doing today?
Exactly.
People come in. So in terms of lead capture, what is it then that realtors should be focusing on to capture that lead? What's the difference then between just having a store giving away stuff and capturing a lead?
You've essentially got to establish a value proposition on the website. Listen, I'll give you what I've got. I'll give you access to the MLS through the IDX link. I will give you neighborhood information. I'll give you listings by email. I'll give you a free home valuation. I'll give you every imaginable kind of calculator. I'll give you mortgage information. I'll give you all of this stuff, but you're going to have to give something to me in exchange. It's a value proposition. And most people are afraid. I had an agent say, I'm afraid to put an LCM on the front of my website, LCM lead capture module on the front of my website, because I'm afraid some of the visitors won't come. They'll leave. I mean, they came, they got what they wanted, and they left. Okay, great. How much did it help you? None. Okay, they left. I'm just chasing them. I'm basically getting rid of the moochers. Essentially capture about roughly a third of unique visitors to our LCM gateway. So that's huge.
So for our listeners right now that may not be familiar with this, the idea of pay-per-click is when a consumer goes onto the computer and uses, let's say, a Google or a search engine, and they type in California homes, or more specifically, let's say, homes for sale in San Diego. The idea is that the people that are paying for a click, that the positioning of their website will come up first, or within, let's say, the top 10 searches that come up, so the consumer has a higher likelihood of coming to your website before they go to the millions of others out there. And for that privilege, you will pay either what's called pay-per-click, meaning every time a consumer clicks your link, there'll be a fee charged to you. It could be a few cents, it could be a few dollars based upon the popularity of that area and to control that traffic.
Any other agents bidding against you.
So are you finding that agents that are utilizing this strategy, are they making money from the web by doing pay-per-click?
Let's say, for example, Michael, it costs you $1 per click, just for a round number, to get a visitor to your website. Now, if you have a typical real estate website, you have a capture rate of approximately 1%, according to the, okay? That means that you have to have 100 clicks to your, visitors to your website, unique visitors, in order to ultimately capture one. And now you have a lead. That lead costs you 100 clicks. The clicks cost you $1 a piece. That's $100 per lead. That's very expensive. That's going to cost you, you're going to need 24 leads to ultimately do a transaction, according to the national average. So you're going to need, it's going to cost you what? 24 times 100 is $2,400 in customer acquisition for one transaction. That's very high in most markets. So it's the first thing that you have to do is come up with some sort of a capture device so you can efficiently capture the traffic that comes to you. Once you've done that, and let's say you capture a third, now if you're capturing a third, then it costs you $3 per lead. 24 leads to a deal, now you've got, $72 in customer acquisition is a lot better than $2,400. So the capture is absolutely critical, how efficiently you capture the customer. But now having captured that customer, one of the frustrating things for us is we've actually had customers that have licensed our technology and have begun to use it and have generated several hundred leads and call up and very frustrated and say, listen, we want to quit using this technology because every lead we get is bogus. What's really frustrating to us is that we actually get that more from seasoned realtors than we get it from novice realtors. And I think the reason why is the very nature of Internet leads. Typically, an Internet lead is the same lead that a sign lead is. It's the same guy wanting to buy a house. So somebody's buying a house, and they're out there searching, okay? Now, the simple fact is that it's no different. In fact, according to all of the experts that have studied this, and the NAR has said that essentially in every measurable category, an Internet lead is about 15% better lead than a traditional sign call. The problem is that most agents work them wrong. Up until the Internet came along, the real estate buying cycle was understood to be a search phase, and that lasted typically, maybe 3 to 4 weeks at the most. And then there was the escrow phase, which lasted, depending on market and what kind of loan they're getting and stuff like that, can last anywhere from maybe just under 30 days to as much as 60 days if you're like in a VA market or something. So, and those were the phases of the buying cycle. What most people didn't realize until the Internet came along is that there's really a third phase. There's a first phase, which is called the information gathering phase. And essentially, the best way I can illustrate that is this. Let's say you go to Macy's on a Saturday morning and you want to beat the crowd, and let's say that you've got to go to a wedding and you've outgrown your suit. You finally decided that you're going to take the time and you're going to go to Macy's, and you go there with one reason, and you're going to go buy a suit. Men don't like to go to malls. We go in there and we walk into the menswear section and we head for the suits, and about that time a lady walks up to us and says, "Hey, can I help you?" with a big smile on their face. And you tell me what is the first word that comes out of your mouth? No thanks, I'm just looking. Now, the truth is that actually, no, you're actually there to buy. But what you really mean to say, leave me alone, I'm in the information gathering phase. When I get ready to actually search for the unit that I need, for the actual suit that I want, I'll call you. Just stick around. I'll call you when I need you. That's what that really means. But we just say, no thanks, I'm just looking, like, leave me alone. 5 minutes later, you found just exactly what you're looking for in a blue pinstripe suit, and you immediately look around hoping you'll find her so that you can say, "Hey, do you have this in a 42 long?" If she's a good salesman, she'll be real handy at that point. But she'll be just out of the way so she's not pressuring you. Well, you have just moved from the information gathering phase into the search phase. Not long from now, you're going to move, once again, if she does her job right, you're going to move into the escrow phase at the counter. You're going to pay for it, and the escrow is going to be over with, and you're going to be closed. The same thing is true in real estate. What happens is, with the advent of the Internet, we provide a lot of tools that really help customers. In fact, 93% of the people out there right now searching for real estate are doing part of their search on Internet. So Internet leads tend to be early. They're in that information gathering phase, which typically runs 6 to 8 weeks. At the end of that period, they understand that most customers feel like they need us. But the truth is, they do feel like they need us. We offer not only access to the market, but we offer a lot of information. Most of us, anyways, offer a lot of value-added service to the transaction, and they're happy to pay for it. They just don't want us to color their dream. When they're in that information gathering phase, that phase one of the cycle, they're shaping their dream, and they don't want us to try to shape it for them. It's their dream.
So at this point, the Internet buyer, they've got the anonymity that they can surf around. They don't have to make contact with anybody. So they're in complete control, and I think that's probably what they love about the process.
Absolutely.
Taking that then and applying it to a module where you're trying to capture that lead, obviously you're trying to create an online relationship to incubate that lead. So when they're ready, they trust you, then they're going to make that contact.
Correct.
So what is it that you do then, or what is it that an agent has to do to build that online relationship? It sounds like it's more work than dealing with a traditional buyer.
Well, it's not. It's really not any more work. It's just different. And if you approach them, let's go back to Macy's for a second. Let's say that lady said, "Well, listen, this is Saturday morning. You're male. I know that you're not in here for any other reason but to buy something. You did not come down here for recreational shopping. I know you want to buy something. Here, let me find you a suit." What would you say? You'd say, "Take a hike." Okay? Well, and that's what I'd say, and that's what everybody would say. Well, most of us as realtors, because we're used to getting up-desk calls that are already, maybe a week into the search process, they're ready to get with an agent. They're ready to come in and sit down and have a buyer interview. They're ready to go out and look at houses. We approach them, often as realtors, the wrong way. We approach them as though they're already in phase two, and we begin to exert pressure and try to close them into coming for an appointment or that sort of thing, meeting us at a house, and we have completely alienated them. We've chased them away from us, and so we just assume that the lead is bad. The lead's not bad. We've just approached it wrong. What you should do, you should assume that they're in the early phase, that they're in that information gathering phase, and then approach them as a customer service call. And I noticed you visited our website. We wanted to make sure that you were able to access everything on there. Did you have any problem with the MLS? It's really important that you're able to find what you're looking for. We understand you're early in the process, and we just want you to know that we're here if you need us. The very low pressure, and they love that approach. They're in control. Don't have to immediately try to shove them into a house.
If we broke it down into simple steps, what would you tell someone who's starting out, this is what you have to do?
Well, the first thing, they just really have to be on the web. If not, they're going to be constantly at the mercy of having to get leads from somebody, typically buy them as a referral or buy them, just buying leads. If they're not, because people are starting there first, and the smart agents are basically, and aggregation companies and stuff are grabbing those leads when they're early, pulling them out of the market. So the number of up calls at the duty calls are less and less and less out there. They've just got to resolve that they're going to have to be in the internet if they're going to be in real estate, because that's where it's headed. That's where, it's the natural progression. They need to resolve to be there. And then I think that they need to find a website that they're comfortable with. But they need to also really, really think about the fact that ultimately it's about getting traffic to the website and then ultimately captured. And so they need a capture technology of some sort, and it needs to be measurable. They need to be able to quantify what those results are, because your cost per lead is really the most important thing. Listen, if I could stand up at the corner and pass out flyers and generate leads for $3 a piece, I would do that. Okay, the simple fact is I do internet marketing because it's the cheapest way of producing a large quantity of leads. It's scalable. It's just very inexpensive. It's cost effective. So it really comes down to how can I get the most bang for my buck. And the truth is, with good capture technology, it's real hard to beat internet marketing.
So if I were to sum this up, number one, if you don't have a presence on the internet, you're going to be absent as a player, bottom line. So you need a good website that has good content, but before you give away that content, you want to have a mechanism in place that says, here's what I've got to offer. But to get the wheres, you have to give me some information. So be it your name, email, address, you got to give me something to get inside my house.
Phone numbers. We require phone numbers, email address, multiple phone numbers. I want to know what they're looking for. I mean, we ask them for about a dozen things, and you can get that if you ask it right.
All right, and then step number next is, now I've acquired this lead. I have to do something with it, but I've got to be very subtle that I don't want to scare them away to create that online relationship. And when they're ready, and here's the operative word, when they're ready, they're going to contact me if I've done my job properly.
Right. Or if I've done my job properly, they may be getting ready. They may be right there ready, and I have placed myself a follow-up, just a tickler, so that I call them back. I touch base with them. I know they're early, so I'm going to touch base with them personally. By email maybe once a week, and maybe by phone once a week. So I just make myself an appointment to call them.
And this could be my assistant doing the same thing for me.
It could be. This is the lifeblood of your business. It's the most important thing you do. Prospecting is the most important job you do. And I know for myself, I would hand off writing in cars with buyers before I handed off prospecting. It's the only job a realtor can do that literally will make him $1,000 an hour.
I think this is a great way to end off this call, Matt, that the Internet is a way for you to fill your funnel, to have a constant source of leads. If you work it properly, you can be successful at this.
Absolutely.
Matt Jones, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today to share these insights with our many listeners today, and continued success with your online domination of the real estate field.
Hey, it's my pleasure.